Gooner, Ronnie Piper, and Tractor Boy, Luke Hume were on a search for a team with pride, passion, and glory. They went to the Big Apple and found the New York Red Bulls. From the Garden State to the Empire State, red runs deep.
Hello and welcome to the RBNY UK podcast. And no, this is not an ASMR session. This is normally positively, maybe not. It's a Red Bulls podcast. So, Luke, how are you doing, my friend? Apart from anything was happening in North America.
Pop out, brilliant. Everything's great. As soon as you mention that team in North America, I go, not so good.
Yeah, I do agree. It's not too. However, there was some signs of positivity at the weekend.
Yes,
You got to take it where you can at the moment.
it's small drips at the moment. So
Yeah, I was going to say, and on another day, that game could have been very different than a score draw. It
yeah,
easily could have been a few more. Obviously, had the crossbar in the crossbar by Manuel, what could have easily have gone in. They could have been down to 10 men, could have had a penalty, could have had two or three, even not three or four goals. So signs of
yeah,
positivity, even though we've got so many players out, that
yeah.
they still get. And we've got to say, I'm a massive fan of Corey Burke.
He's not bad. It's not bad, but again, it's slim pickers at the moment.
I think I was talking to someone the other day, and I was trying to compare Corey Burke to a player, and I actually compared him to Tom Barlow. But I
Okay.
said that they're very similar in terms of they like to run round. However, Corey Burke, you can tell, has just got that better final
Yeah,
product and knows what's going on half time. Even though I do feel for Barlow a bit, but it's not really his fault. He's been put into this position. But
no,
since the last recording in person, a lot has happened
a lot's
at
happened.
RBA. We won't be discussing the main talking point because that's
No,
already been beaten with a wooden stick by everyone. So obviously,
what needs to be said has been said. I think.
yep, I think that's both ways to put it. So we're going to focus more on the actual on-field agenda, what's been going on with injuries, people, like just everything what's going on. Really, it's more of a generic discussion rather than pinpointing individual games. So obviously, there's been quite a lot of rotation so far due to injuries. It seems like every game that goes past, there's another injury on the injury list. You've got where do I Lewis Morgan, and he's showed up once, and now he's got a hip injury and he's still out. So hopefully he'll be back soon. However, of the players that are playing, who has been impressing you recently? I know obviously for us it is a bit of a mission, especially how we're playing at the moment, to stay up for the
Yeah,
games. But obviously watching the replays back for yourself, I've endured the torture of watching every game live so far. But who's been impressing you so far?
yeah, yeah. And I don't want to sound negative because I'm feeling very negative at the moment, which is unusual for me.
Yeah, complete opposite to what you normally are.
Um, but there have been some good players. I mean, I agree Kobe Burke has done well. I think Tom Barlow's done quite well. Um, there's a few players from like the team. I mean, Lewis Morgan's not really performing now. He's out injured. Come on now, he's been okay. I think he made a few mistakes this year so far.
Yeah,
Um, but it comes to the fact I don't think it's on the players.
no,
These players are better than the league position. It stems from a manager. I'm gonna put it out there. He's the luckiest man in North America right now. But
yeah,
he's hanging on by a thread somehow.
yeah. I think the general consensus at the moment is that everyone's thinking there's a certain job waiting for him in Austria,
Yeah.
which I was saying to someone
I
the
don't
other
see
day.
it. I don't see it.
I don't think some people won't agree with this, but I don't think he's particularly if you're talking a generic football sense, I don't think he's particularly a bad manager. I just don't think he's the best suited for salary caps and the whole MLS system.
Yeah.
A Salzburg, where you're pretty much guaranteed to win the league.
Yeah, yeah.
You've got a fantastic youth product. You get players from all around the world to play that team. It's a very different ordeal. Just look at one of our favorite Americans, Jesse Mars, for example.
Yeah.
He's done the three main Red Bull teams. He's obviously was at New York Red Bulls, done so well at Salzburg, but then he found it the challenge moving on to the
Yeah.
Leipzig job, which is a completely different kettle of fish because you're going from a league where you're restricted, and that's what I think he done so well, was bringing in the right players. They had the
Yeah,
right setup at the time, had the right core of players. Then moving into a Salzburg team who obviously had some of the best young players in world football, and then moving into that Leipzig team who were kind of at a crossroads. They'd let some good players go. So I think having a look at the Red Bull system, I could see it working for Struber at Salzburg because it's in the nicest possible way. It's harder not to do well at Salzburg.
yeah, it's a fair point. I also think there's like some doubts of his management skills
Oh, I'm not saying I'm
are
definitely not
lacking.
saying that. I definitely agree with that. I
He's
think
lacking.
tactically, he gets it wrong quite a bit.
Uh,
Um, but then, like I say, how many times have you seen in
it's
football?
also it's so cliche. He's been here 3 years now. It's
Mm,
his third season. Has he improved the team in any single shape or way? It's hard to say he has. I
yeah,
know last year we got, was it third we got last year or fourth? But we're not improved. We were 19 minutes away from a cup final and we
yeah,
capitulated. We weren't ready for it. And we've got players in its team who are far better than what they're playing. And
yeah. I
it's
think
it's
I think just
half a stadium they want him there.
yeah,
With let's be honest, Red Bull's already got a very fanatic fan base. It's not massive anymore. And I
mm,
mean, I've got some of my dedicated fans not going to the stadium because I want invited. It
yeah.
is a bit of a mess.
I want to just piggyback on one of the ones you just said there, and I think how many times you see it in professional football now that once a manager loses the dressing room, the players just don't turn up. You've
Yeah.
seen it all the. How many times you've seen it in the Premier League this
Oh yeah,
season?
yeah,
It's ridiculous that they. I would never ever accuse a footballer of down tools. However, the extra 10 to 20% that wins you a football match,
yeah.
it's so much harder to get when you're not fully committed to the process. So I think there's some players you can tell are still playing very well.
Oh yeah, I agree. I think players, some most players are still playing with him.
Yeah,
Um,
I think for one in particular is John Tolkien. His stock keeps rising. There's
yeah,
not many players that. No doubt, there's going to be quite a bit of interest from Europe this in the summer because they'll be looking at him an attacking fullback, which is the new modern approach for European football. Technically good on the ball. The only thing we let him down is his temperament at times, but we love him
yeah,
for that.
yeah,
Um, but yeah, it's going to be a bit of a crossroads the next 2 months. I think it can't really. It's a famous last words, but it's very hard to get worse because the
yeah.
situation we're in at the moment is probably
Well,
arguably the worst since 2009. So that's 14 years where
at the moment, we think if he said we want to win a trophy, we might win it with a spoon.
hmm, I
Yeah,
wouldn't mind it.
trophy's a
Yeah,
trophy.
yeah. Well, like you say, we've got Philadelphia next week in the cup. Obviously, that's all starting off now again as well. So
Yeah,
it's probably not the greatest thing to ever have is now having Saturdays and midweek games, especially with the Finn squad, how we've got it. It'd be nice to see some sort of rotation, but then yet again, the rotation's not really there, as we've
no.
mentioned, full of injuries. But
My
obviously,
my feeling is with a US Cup is obviously open soon. It's beginning soon. That's being played at MX this year.
yeah,
So I'm expecting quite a weak squad for that. I'm thinking I can't see them taking that too seriously.
no,
I mean, it'll be a reserve squad mainly on that when we play DC. Um, yeah, it's let's be no doubt here. I think the player of Fran is in danger.
mm,
The it was opportunity to make it the longest the record playoff stint in MLS. It's very hard to see that happening right now.
yeah,
Obviously, with loads of games to go, like we've still got loads of games to go, but it's difficult to see how about positive at the moment, how we're playing. Because
yeah,
yes, I haven't actually lost many games, but it's drawn too many.
yeah. But yeah, you're looking at a record which is 1 win, 6 draws, and 3 losses.
Yeah,
It is not good enough. I don't like everyone knows it's not good enough. All right, Sporting Kansas City have lost. Sorry, haven't won 1 game. We've got the same amount of wins as LA Galaxy, which is it's a bit strange because you would have thought Galaxy would have been doing a bit better.
yeah.
But Yeah, literally got the table up now of the Eastern Conference, and you're looking at New England at the top, who have got 21 points, which is 12 points more than the Red Bulls at the moment, played the same amount of games. And it's literally where they've lost one, we've won one. And
Yeah.
it's like you said, it's the draws. And you just take how football works is a strange thing. Rather than drawing two games, if you lost one and won one, it's a
Yeah.
better outcome. So you don't want to lose a game, but you need to win games. Like
Yeah.
that's the problem for me at the moment. But there was some positivity to take out last weekend. Be rather intriguing now with some of the games coming up. How does he change the lineup at all? Who I really don't know what's going on in his head at the moment. I could not predict what's going to be the rough. We can guess the rough lineup, but it's for me how it's setting up. Like if we look at how it's set up against Chicago Fire,
Yeah.
obviously it was Coronel in goal, and then we had a back four of Johnny Tolkien, Neelis, Reyes, and obviously Neelis Kim. But then Cameron Harper kind of plays as like like midfielder slash fullback. Even though I've actually been quite impressed with him so far. And then you was looking at Daniel Edelman, who's been playing very well, Caceres and Omer Fernandez with up front of Ellis Manuel and Tom Barlow. So you've kind of got like a roughly a five at the back, a three in midfield and two up top. I'm not personally a fan of that system. It works well if you've got the right
Yeah.
players for the system. But it's kind of like round pegs and square holes at the moment in terms of we've got the players in the roster that could play it to a high standard, but they're just not there at the moment. So
Yeah.
it's even looking at the bench. Obviously, Stroud come on, Corey Burke come on, obviously scored. Wiki Carmona come on, but then you had obviously it weren't even a full bench renamed. Then we had like Yearwood, for example. Like Yearwood was playing well last year. I know obviously he's coming back from injury, but it's just intriguing to see how it goes because obviously he's going to have his favourites. We know that.
Yeah.
Um, if someone would have said to me 2 years ago that I know Cameron Harper was young, or even a year ago that he would be starting every game, I'd be quite surprised. But he's earned it, doing well.
Yeah. He has to be fair.
I think that's the one thing I do give credit to Struber even is when someone is in form, he's playing them. When someone
Yeah.
deserves to start, he's keeping them in. And I like that. He's not just dropping players for the sake of dropping them. He's rewarding people for playing well. And I was even looking at like the Chicago Fire team in like, and obviously they had like Jordan Shaqiri coming off the bench that they didn't play particularly well, Chicago. Not at
No.
all. Obviously, Kamara was going to score. I knew that in the first minute. As soon as I remembered he played for Chicago, I was like, well, he's going to score, isn't he? I can't stand the geezer, but what else can you do about that? But then you look at the actual stats for the game. Um, they had 8, we had 14 shots on target 4 apiece. Possession was actually in our favour for a change. It was 53 to 47. It was statistically a very similar game. Um, Even surprising though, Chicago didn't have one corner during the whole game, which I found rather
He's odd.
intriguing. But I, I wouldn't. I'm not putting my neck out on the line saying there's a win coming, but play how they did the weekend, and results will start coming.
I
It's
need to
just,
get. Bottom line, I need to get results. I need wins.
but the thing is, it's when I was looking at the upcoming schedule. We're not talking about the US Open Cup because, like we say, it's not going to be a strong team. It's going to be weakened. So you're looking at Philadelphia, NYCFC, Toronto, Montreal. It's not an easy 4 games, and I would say realistically needs a minimum of 7 out of 12. Minimum of 7.
Easily. I I think he's. I don't think his job is an immediate risk.
No,
But I think if we don't take 6, 7 points out of them 4 games, then you're looking at a point when his job might be, because then you're really in trouble because
yeah,
um let's be honest, in MLS it's all about making playoffs,
yeah,
and for the Red Bulls that should be a formality.
yeah. So how I'm looking at it here right now, the last game in the Salzburg season is the 3rd of June.
Yeah,
So that I'm saying it'll be around middle of June. I expect him to depart. So if you look at and it falls perfectly with what's coming up, there's obviously the gap in the
yeah,
MLS between the 4th of June and the 22nd of June. I think it's the schedule to sync perfectly.
yeah,
That He has the game against Orlando on the 4th of June, and then he departs on the 6th of June. I just my personal reason.
Yeah.
That's how I think it's going to play out. Obviously, it might not, but obviously, it's quite a lot of games.
I think the thing is his job. He's not going to be next season.
No, he's not going to be
He's
here at the end of the season.
He's not going to be end of the season. He will be here. It's a matter of when, not if now.
Yeah,
Um, I've heard there's someone waiting for a job who's quite keen, but who knows if that's what I've heard through like contacts. I don't know if that's 100%,
yeah.
but it'd be interesting to see now. I think.
I was going to say because it's not. It's obviously easy enough for everyone to say, "Oh, he's got to go," but how the Red Bull system works, they're only ever going to appoint a certain type of manager. I know, obviously, it didn't work with Chris.
Sorry,
Um,
that's my fault.
where was I? Oh yeah, we can sync this up. I remember exactly where I was. Um, yeah, and obviously Red Bull only appoint a certain type of manager.
Yeah,
It didn't work out with Chris Armas.
no,
That's obviously blatantly clear. Like, I don't have anything against him as a person. I think he's a very good number two. He's not a
yeah,
manager. They got that one wrong. But on average, they actually do all right with appointments if you look over the whole Red Bull
yeah,
net. Um, how I was wondering, would it be like, because Salzburg do like going for a younger manager?
yeah.
Will they go for a young manager who's trying to prove himself, bring him into Red Bulls, and then try and see if he's up to the scratch, then to move on to Salzburg and then on to Leipzig? Obviously, how they originally done with Julian Nagelsmann, they at Leipzig was give the young manager a chance, proved to be very well, even though then he didn't do as well at Bayern. But it's going to be very intriguing, I think, the appointment. Will there be any business done in the summer? It probably depends on a new manager as well.
Yeah.
But the roster's there. And like I say, I don't know how you feel about what kind of would you rather a more experienced person coming in, taking over the reins, like for example, if you look in the Premier League, how like some teams go about it, they either appoint an experienced man to the end of the season just to
Big
tie it
Sam.
over, or do they give it to a younger manager and try and let them carry? I don't know how you would rather go. Would you rather go for someone a bit of experience or go for someone a bit youthful and maybe gives a different element or different tactical know-how altogether?
It's a really difficult situation because I feel like this is unlike any other appointment we've ever made before. Like, if we thought Red Bull stock was low under Chris Helmets,
Mm,
it's lower now.
yeah,
Like, and that was hard to believe when Chris Helmets said that was pretty dire. But we haven't won a trophy in 5 years now.
hmm,
And we haven't had any decent playoff run in about 5 years.
yeah,
So stock is low. Um, so that doesn't help the situation. And where do Red Bull go from here? They've got a fan base that is already quite annoyed with Red
yeah,
Bull. Like, I've seen a lot more anti-Red Bull than I ever had before recently. Does seem to be turning. Um, but it's really a really intriguing one. Do you give someone like you said? Do you go for experienced one? I don't know because I think the squad is good enough, or some of it is good enough.
yeah.
Obviously, things can be improved. The squad should be a playoff squad. So, if I put on a limb, I would say it's someone A who's American. I can't see him going down the international route again.
Hmm.
Because I think that's really worked with Super. They paid a lot of money for Super. I
Yeah,
haven't really worked out. I think it would be someone not young but not old. I think someone being at middle bracket for 40s, 50s, that sort of range. I think it'd be someone who's got MLS experience.
yeah,
Um, so- let's be honest. My opinion of now Super is he took this job to look good on the CV
yeah,
and to sort of increase his stock, and he's not done that at all. Really, it's it's really not. So I imagine I'll go somewhere within MLS again, or someone who's managed MLS before.
yeah,
Um, yeah, or maybe they'll bring someone into the end of the season. Who knows?
yeah. Like I say, it's going to be a very intriguing appointment whenever it does happen.
And it will happen at some point this season because it's a matter of when now.
Yeah,
Super's prediction is not tenable, really.
no,
And it
not
is
at
a
all.
matter of when. Like, it's difficult for the club, I think. Um, but if I had to go on a limb, I would agree with you. I think it'll be gone for the summer. So I
Yeah,
think then summer transfer window, ideally you want your new manager to do some summer transfer window. And if I got a chance of being in the playoffs, who knows they're all by then, wouldn't that find their push? Um, yeah, it's difficult. I can also see them being able to clear off at the top. Like, will Dennis Hamlet still have a job? Because I don't really know what he does, to be honest.
mm,
Seems like a job just for a job. Um, yeah, like I said, it could be one of the most interesting appointments since we started supporting.
yeah,
Because yeah, I don't think Red Bull New York stock had ever been lower than like if you told that 5 years ago we'd be bottom of the league, you would not believe that.
yeah.
Yeah,
No, yeah, definitely agree with you. And but obviously, moving on to more positive, well, when I say positive, I just mean more generic things. Obviously, it has been announced that if people do want to watch the DC United game in the US Open Cup next week, next midweek, it'll be shown live on YouTube on US Soccer Channel. So if you do want to watch it, it's free to watch over on YouTube, which no doubt I'll be tuning still in for just to see how it goes, see some other fresh faces. But in more positive news, and I know you're very happy about this one, a certain former New York Red Bulls player is launching a podcast, and
United.
I think this is going to be on your must listen to every time it comes out.
It was I came first saw it the other day, and it was I had to listen to it. It was very good. Um, yeah, big fan, and he's genuinely going to smash the Panditry gig when he retires. Like, I genuinely see him becoming like I'm not American. I don't know the equivalent, but the like we're on what we had Jamie Carragher and Gary Neville, probably the two biggest pandits. I can see him coming that sort of level. He's just so good. Like his media knowledge is so good. Yeah, it's really good. I recommend it. Um,
Yeah, no, definitely. I need to give that one a listen. And that's it. Like, obviously, season is ticking over now.
yeah,
Next one will be an in-person podcast where we will induct the next.
we went to do it last week, and Ronnie dropped out on the
Yeah, we've
day.
meant to. And then for reference for everyone, I was at the Arsenal Youth Cup final on the Tuesday. Watched Arsenal lose 5-1. And then on the Wednesday, I travelled all the way from London to Manchester, which is a short journey for all of you out in America. But for over it's one of the longer journeys, and we lost that game as well. So it was a very fun midweek for me. But the graphic is in the process. I know I did promise it, but I know because of the West one, it's in the process where we'll be in the third one, obviously to go along with Super Dax McCarty and the one and only Bradley Wright Phillips. So they are the two first inductees. One, obviously, the first inductee of both of ours. So there'll be a third one in the next one, and hopefully there's going to be some positives to talk about between
Oh, it
now
can't
and
be.
then.
There must be some sort of events, surely.
And because we love doing a little predictor anyway. Roughly, it's going to be about 4 weeks until the in-person podcast. So we do have Philadelphia Union on 7th. We have NYCFC on the 14th. Then we have on the 18th Toronto, Montreal on the 21st. And out of them 4 games, I know we said already, how many points will the Red Bulls have from them 4 games when we then meet in person?
I'm gonna be optimistic and say 7 or 8, something along that margin, because they need 7 or 8 points. Otherwise, they are not getting. They are finishing dead bottom, which is a real
Yeah.
possibility as well.
Yeah, obviously, it the one thing was playing into our favour on this one is it is a home stint. There's 3 out of 4 games. It's free at
Yeah,
RBA, which I think will go in favour. I know you've said 7, 8. I do agree. I think it'd be 6 or 7. I think just the home field advantage, even though it's not as big as it once was, the South Ward is still fantastic and making all the noise. that I believe that we will get a couple of wins in there. Hopefully they'll surprise me, and I can't see anything from the Montreal game away. I'm sorry, the Toronto game away. Can't see anything there, but you never know. If you looked at our last year's away record, it was so good in comparison to the home. So I'm gonna go. I'm gonna go 7. I know you said 7 now. I'm gonna go 7 as well.
Yeah,
I think
I
two.
think it's yeah. I think we can get that. I think we can get 7.
If anything less than that, I'll be very frustrated because we need at least 2 wins and we need to
Yeah,
pick up something in another game. If it's 2 wins, 2 losses, it's kind of be there or thereabouts again.
yeah,
It's good but not good enough. So yeah, like we look forward to bringing you a lot more, and it'll be more of a bumper episode when we do meet up next time for the next
yeah. But
episode of
that'll probably be our next episode, won't it?
yeah. I
We're
think
only, we're only doing like 2 a month now, aren't we? To try and
yeah,
get
we do
better.
it every 3 to 4 weeks at the moment, which we quite like because it gives us a bit more to talk about per episode. You don't
Yeah,
really have
I think also when we do in person ones, they're much better
yeah,
and a lot more. Well, obviously, all those that we still find all our stuff on RBNYUK.com. And
yep,
we're really going to try and make an effort to do more stuff on there. It's been difficult because we're all busy, but we're really going to try and make an effort to do more stuff on there. But yeah, I think the next one should be good when we're in person again.
yeah. Like I say, if you are obviously watching or listening along on YouTube, do make sure to give us a subscribe and like. Just so there's a lot more stuff in the planning once
Yeah,
we do have some time freed up, hopefully very soon. But also always make sure you follow us over on Twitter at RBNY UK, where we always tweet out during the matches. And yeah, if you ever see a tweet during a match, it's always going to be me because I'm the Muppet at the moment who's staying up and watching every game. Even though I feel very bad for missing one, but I'm going Newcastle Sunday, and my early train time stipulates to me that I should not be watching RBNY, but I probably will end up being knackered the next day watching it. So hopefully, a more positive uptake and be some more points. Hopefully, players getting back for fitness as well. But from me and Luke, I hope everyone around the world, especially everyone stateside, is staying well, supporting the Red Bulls where you can, but most importantly, come on, you Red
come on.
Bulls.
See you later.